Okay. So now that I've gone through lab 3 all the way, and hopefully you'll at least have an idea of what needs to happen, I'm going to do it again. Just because there are a couple of gotchas that happen with the compilation. Now, the actual system itself, actually installing it, which is what I'm going to do again at the beginning of this, I might as well get that started because it takes a while. That part didn't change, so you can keep the old one if you want to. But I'm going to go ahead and go through it again. I'm going to delete all the files. Hopefully I will not regret that decision.
Me too.
Create a new machine. Let's see, kernel hacker. We'll go and make it a Linux machine, and sure, Debian 64. A gig is fine, otherwise you may want 2 gigs. Create a virtual hard disk now. ADI, dynamic, that sounds great. I found out you really only need 10 gigs, but I'll go and give it 20 just for sake of argument.
Or so give it 10?
Yeah, you can give it 10. If I fail, you'll just have to redo the whole thing again, which is fine. You'll get used to it.
15.
Processor, if you have extra CPUs, go ahead and give it a couple more. I have 4 on mine technically, so I'm going to give it 2.
Design settings?
Yeah, that's when you go right-click on it, up to settings, go over to system, processor, you can bump it up to 2. That'll help speed up the compilation step. And of course, when you're in here, don't forget to attach the CD-ROM drive, choose a virtual hard disk, and 9.2.1. Sounds great. Let's go ahead and get this thing started. Again, regular install for me, otherwise it takes too long. English, I highly recommended. US, again, highly recommended. American English.
English, United States.
Yeah, installing
America.
a Chinese version.
Not gonna be good, guys. Don't do that.
It's kind of hard to remove it.
Kind of hard to remove it. The keyboard is not doing anything.
Just go learn Chinese and buy a Chinese keyboard.
2 things are not going to happen.
You don't have to learn Chinese. I just have to find somebody who is Chinese.
To translate for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Find me the option that says.
There's an app for that.
All right. There is
but
an
I
app.
can't get it on my Chinese hosted computer.
Domain doesn't matter. Go ahead and give it a root password. You have to re-enter it. You can create a username, but it's really kind of superfluous since you'll probably always be logging in as root. All right, Eastern, unless you're somewhere else in the world. To make life easier for you in the long run, I highly recommend going to manual. Select SCSI 3 or whatever it is, SDA. Create a new partition table. Of course you want to create a new partition table.
Yeah, we do.
Go free space, create a new partition table. Don't take up the whole thing. Yeah, probably like 20 gigs is probably good. You want to leave a gig for the swap space is really what it comes down to. Yes.
Wait, how did you...
Beginning. I'll show you again. Back to root, down setting this up. Then go to the other free space, create a new partition. Yeah, and here I just typed it in space GB.
I'm living on the edge, 14 gigabytes.
Whoa. Make them all primary. It'll make your life easier. And change the other one to a swap area. So when we're done, we just have one root that's going to take care of basically everything and a swap partition for Linux. How nice of us. Alright, finish partitioning, right changes the disk. Do it. Yes. Alright, then it's going to install the base system. Look at it go. If your laptop is a spinning disk, this is going to take forever. If it's a solid state, it's going to go basically as fast as mine is going right now. So Tyler, any of your friends really happy, or?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I have one friend that's like a diehard Astros and Texans fan.
Oh,
So
okay.
he's had a rough childhood growing up.
Yeah.
But he is.
Well, the Rangers weren't that bad.
He's an Astros and a Texans fan, and that's it.
Oh, that's Texans. Yes.
Yeah.
No.
All right. That's some other sport. All right, do you want to add something? No. Again, the US for your package manager. Debian, I recommend you can choose another one if you really feel adventurous. You're not behind a proxy, so don't do anything. Just gonna scan that mirror. The Texans are still fairly new, aren't they? Yeah, so
They used to be the Oilers.
right, and then they got moved to Tennessee, and then they got a new one instead of San Antonio.
This was supposed to.
By the way, the entire city of San Antonio growing up is very bitter about that. That Houston gave up their team and we didn't get it.
Yeah, that was.
Darn, I was hoodwinked again.
Hoodwinked?
I'm on the bad Wi-Fi.
Oh!
I was like, why did you pass me again?
That's what you get.
Oh, I'm on the CSU Wi-Fi too. That's terrible.
That's even going to go slower. All right, popularity contest. No, I don't care about popularity contests. Task selection. Deselect with the space bar. Don't use enter, otherwise sadness will occur. And then deselect the print server. I usually put in the SSH server just to make things a little easier. You can always install SSH later, by the way, as well as all these other things if you want to. But we really just want to get a minimum system up and running. Tab over to continue, hit enter, and it goes, please wait. It's going to retrieve a couple of files from the partition and then download the rest. Luckily, it's only 140 packages as opposed to the 1400 if you chose a GUI.
Wow, I'm catching back up. It's a miracle.
I'm in class. Stop.
So have the Texans ever been on the playoffs? I don't think so.
They were supposed to have a good year this year. Well, it was kind of weird. So their starting quarterback, the first game, played terrible. So
Mhm.
then they put in a rookie, Deshaun Watson, who's from Clemson,
Yeah.
and he's on pace to break like almost every rookie quarterback record.
Oh wow. Well, there you go.
But their J.J. Watt's like their big defensive guy, and he's out for the year.
Oh.
So like their offense, which is usually their downside, is finally their upside. Now it's their defense, which was usually their upside. Now their downside.
Oh well. Do you want to install it to the master boot record? Say yes.
No.
No.
Down to SDA, otherwise you won't be able to boot your system. What good would that be? Grub install, updating grub, still grubby.
What's a grub?
Something unified bootloader. Glorious, I don't know. Glorious retro unified bootloader.
From this
Yep.
interface, I would believe it.
Yeah, this is a pretty glorious interface, isn't it? Installation complete. Do you want to boot into it? Yes. No. All right. Then, I'm gonna select here. While I'm up here, let me go ahead and show you a couple things. So, all y'all in the back row, look up. When you're up here, if you ever have a problem you're not able to boot into your kernel, go down to Advanced Options, hit Enter, and you can select different kernels to boot into. Right now, there's only one, and they always have the kernel and a recovery mode. The recovery mode just goes in single user, so it really doesn't boot anything except the bare minimum. But when you install your other kernel and it's not booting, go into this menu and select the old kernel, so you can at least go in and try and recompile and fix things. All right, you can go back to looking at your screen now. All right, so back into let's boot up. Go ahead and log in as root.
Oh, whoops.
You want to install the base packages. Woo. GCC, BC, links, and I forgot what they all were, which is why I wrote them down.
Is that all of them?
Nope.
Darn.
Links make incursus dev. Make incursus dev. Incursus is what you use to create that awesome GUI from the text-based console.
What's make?
You know, like make,
So it's literally the make.
the make file system.
BC links. Show up. Hopefully I spelled things right. I'm assuming so.
It's going to download those packages and everything it depends on so that you can compile the kernel. I forgot to tell you to install Git.
Darn.
Darn.
Guess we can't use it.
Or we just install it right now. Alright, now we'll go apt-get install git. Yes, so it's going to install git. While we're there, you're going to want to be able to check out from your git repository, so you probably want to load up your browser and head over to the course repository so you can figure out what the link is there. Let's see what we got. There we go, 431. There it is. Now this is the course repository. You should check out from your repository because you're going to be submitting code that way, just like with the lab. So if you check it out here inside the virtual machine, you can just copy things over and submit that way.
That means I have to know my password.
You gonna be okay with that?
Actually, no.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to take some brute forcing.
So that's
We're going to
good.
have to log in to do that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, you'll have to log in.
And that was git clone.
Git clone. Wow, I didn't realize how huge this repository is. What's in there?
All your PDFs and yeah.
Okay, that's why it takes forever.
If we clone a specific folder, would it take less time?
That's a great question.
Like, could we just make a new Linux thingy folder and just clone that?
I've never tried that. Possibly. That'd be cool. You also need to download the Linux kernel, so linkskernel.org.
We don't need to like do the git thing right away. We can just skip to the Linux thing, right?
Right, but you're going to want to do Git pretty soon. Go ahead and download it. Right here, latest stable. Ooh, this one's newer than what I just used. Enter. It's going to ask you, do you really want to download it? Hit D, and then it's going to start downloading.
Links. I figured I'd find it in the PDF by now, but I haven't.
LYNX.
Then what?
Space kernel.org.
Oh, there, I just found it. 2 seconds after you said it. Kernel.org.
Mm-hmm.
This is a cool web browser.
It is. Bet you never thought you could browse the web this way.
I'm going to hop on Facebook.
Oh, you're going to be sad. All right, go ahead and save it to disk. Yes. Saving. And then go ahead and quit with Q and hit Y for yes. Then we're going to go ahead and extract it.
Download. So is that what the internet looked like back in the day?
Yes.
The Stone Age?
You mean the 80s and early 90s? Yes.
That's cool.
It is cool. Well, maybe not early 90s. That's when Windows 3 came out. He had some GUIs. So I'd say mainly 80s.
ARPANET.
That'd be 70s. Which I guess, yeah, you could say that as well.
Yes, your Wi-Fi is so slow.
It is. Terribly
Turn down
slow.
my phone.
Alright, now, here's the important trick so that sadness does not occur. Go into the Linux directory, then copy from your GitHub repository lab03 the .config file to the location here. That is going to take a config file that I have generated that is greatly smaller or significantly smaller than the default one. And it works under VirtualBox. Fair warning, if you're using VMware, you may have to enable a couple options, which is fine. Just make sure you document which ones those are so that future students don't have your headache. So we're going to copy the .config over, and then we're going to do make menu config.
We have to click save to disk for the kernel, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to go over to load, go ahead and load the .config. We're going to exit, save it, of course. Now make -J and then the number of processes you want to have compiled at the same time. Here I'm going to put -J2 because I had 2 CPUs. And now we'll start compiling. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video here, and we should get back to this after we're done with the presentation today, because this should take significantly less time than beforehand.